Welcome back to the show. We're 2 days away from the NFL draft, and the Steelers are finding themselves in the similar position than maybe 2022 when they took Kenny Pickett in the first round. Pittsburgh hasn't won a playoff game since the 2016 season. Quarterback continues to be an area of need for this team. Here's Tomlin today, along with GM Omar Khan, talking about that quarterback room.
We go to camp with 4 quarterbacks. Right now we have 2 on the roster. And, all options are on the table, and how we acquire those last 2, I assure you we'll have 4 when we get to Latrobe.
Aaron Rodgers' situation have any impact on your strategy or approach in the draft?
It does not.
You said that Aaron Rodgers doesn't affect your draft strategy, but does the outcome of the draft and who you may acquire affect your pursuit of Aaron Rodgers or another outside quarterback?
I think what you do in the draft oftentimes affects maybe some talent acquisition that happens after. We'll see how the acquisition goes this weekend.
We're excited to have Bryant McFadden with us throughout the week, our 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Steelers, to go over your perfect draft for Pittsburgh here. So you heard your guy Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan. So 21's the first pick, 21st overall. Where are you going, B-Mac? Are you addressing the quarterback position like they tried to do with Kenny Pickett a few years ago?
Most definitely, but doing so in a different way compared to what happened years ago with the Kenny Pickett saga that didn't work out well for either side with Kenny and, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So first round for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21, I have them taking Shedeur Sanders. Oddly enough, we're starting to hear Shedeur potentially slip in this draft. Doesn't make any sense to me, but I do believe there is some droppage. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and he's there at 21, you got to go take him because he's done nothing but win ball games. Every step of the way throughout his collegiate career, he's found ways to win ball games, to revitalize organizations, and he does so in a very, very unique, consistent way. For Pittsburgh, you can't continue to put Band-Aids on injuries that need surgery. So find a way to go ahead and rectify the potential quarterback of the future, move forward, build around him, and worry about every other concern on your team after the first round. But if Shedeur is there, guys, you got to take him at 21.
So, B-Mac, we heard Mike Tomlin kind of address it there in terms of how does Aaron Rodgers impact their decision and vice versa. Say they do get Aaron Rodgers and he's on, a 1-year deal, and you still draft Shedeur. Do you make Shedeur sit, wait a year, learn behind Aaron Rodgers? What does that look like, or what should it look like, I guess, in your eyes?
I think that would be the best scenario because, if you're able to go get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, we know he's closer to the end of his career than the beginning, but he still has serviceable play in the tank, in my opinion, based on how he finished the season for the New York Jets. So I think that would be a great situation for Shedeur to be involved in, learning from afar, learning how to be a professional on and off the football field. And you get a chance to watch one of the greatest to ever do it, and Aaron Rodgers, fulfill his last opportunity to play in the National Football League. So if that is the case, I'm okay with that. And you heard what Omar just gave us. They're going to training camp with 4 quarterbacks. They currently have 2. So there will be 2 additions, either happening via free agency or through the draft. They will add 2 quarterbacks to the roster.
One more follow here on Shedeur's. Again, if they go with taking him at 21 and he's on the roster, Mike Tomlin's never endured a losing season, which we all know, but I mentioned the playoff struggles for this franchise, which you and others know, no win since 2017. So does that put pressure on Tomlin if Sanders is on the team? Does the clock start ticking for Mike Tomlin on the sideline, you think?
In terms of playoff success, I think pressure is there regardless if you add Shedeur Sanders or if you don't. Heck, if you add Aaron Rodgers, because the fan base there in Pittsburgh, they're spoiled. Deserving so, they've seen a lot of championships throughout their lifetime, and we haven't seen the same success in postseason play most recently. So that is the issue for Mike Tomlin, because we know he can be successful in the regular season. For Mike Tomlin, it feels like his coaching season doesn't start until postseason play, because that is what ultimately people look at him in terms of being good or being bad. So regardless of who the quarterback is, regardless of what additions they make, you better believe there's a lot of pressure to be successful in the postseason, because we haven't seen success in quite some time.
Yeah, getting to the playoffs is certainly not enough in Pittsburgh. Let's go to round 3. And you have the Steelers getting a running back here who, by the way, B-Mac, is a Cincinnati, Ohio native.
I know, right? He won't be a Bengal, though. He will not be a Bengal. Yes. Caleb Johnson with the 3rd round pick. 83 is the number. Great collegiate season a year ago, over 1,500 yards on the ground, 21 touchdowns. And the thing I love about this potential relationship with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Caleb, he could coexist rather nicely with a guy like Jalen Warren or Kenneth Gainwell, a bigger back, but he exercises patience when he runs the football. He has a little bit of a Le'Veon Bell style of play because he's so patient. He allows the blockers to set up their blocking and the running lanes to open, and then instantly he utilizes his burst, his football burst, to create positive runs. And like I said, when you look at his style of play, being a bigger back, I think he could coexist rather nicely with the other two backs on the roster in Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell.
Next pick is the 4th round, 123 overall. You go with the Florida State guy, Joshua Farmer there.
One thing I know about the Pittsburgh Steelers, they love going down to Tallahassee and drafting former Seminoles.
You don't say.
No question. And mostly those Seminoles do fairly well in Allegheny County for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But yes, Joshua Farmer, the thing I love about him, he's a big body. You know, he has nimble, quick feet, and adding depth to the defensive line is clearly a huge necessity for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the thing also, he's not a one-trick pony. He's not just exceptional against the running game, but he does a great job in putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Last 2 seasons for Florida State, 9 sacks. That's a great number for an interior guy, especially for a guy who did not start in 2023. So he has the athleticism. He had a real good pre-draft process in terms of what he did during the combine, his personal workout. So I think he would be available for the Pittsburgh Steelers in round 4 and would be a huge addition.
Finally, B-Mac, rounds 5 through 7.
Yeah.
What is the move here for the Steelers in your eyes?
Continuing to add playmakers to the offense for whoever the quarterback might be throwing the football. I love in the 5th round, Ty Felton from Maryland. One thing I know about Mike Tomlin, he loved drafting Maryland guys, especially guys that have been overly successful. He's around 6'6", but get this, ran 4.37. He's nimble. He can play inside and play outside, and he can take the top off of coverages. Over 1,000 yards a year ago for Maryland. He's a difference maker. I love that pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers, continuing to add playmakers and speed to their offense. We talk about round 6. I have Yaya Black, another enforcer in the defensive front, great Iowa Hawkeye. And if you know anything about Iowa defensively, they know how to play football the right way on all 3 levels. Yaya was the anchor for their defense. He adds depth to an area of need, in my opinion, for the Pittsburgh Steelers as well.
All right, B-Mac, that's a list that I think a lot of Steeler fans would agree with.
Perfect. You said that's what you said the first time, right?
Yeah, we're trying to put together the perfect draft.
We did.
We did. Did we? Let's recap that.
Yes.
Because Shador goes to 21. Caleb Johnson.
They got it right on the graphic, too. They made sure it said perfect for you, B-Mac.
Clip and save this.
Felton Black. And by the way, adding Tommy Hill there, late round pick, defensive back.